Alright, welcome back, and this is part two of how we do more with Camtasia in terms of creating a presentation based around some chapter content. So just added that call out, which was that arrow call out. And as I went back and reviewed what I'd created, how I started out the first part, I added an image, and I said that I just found this image on Google, and it was like an instructional design image, and I'm brought it in. If I go into import media, I can find where I brought that image. It was called design, and it was in my pictures. And I will go down to where it is, and there it is. It's design. It's a GIF file, and it brings it into the library. And from the library, I can add it to the timeline. Okay, I can add it to the timeline. Can't drag it, like you'd think you could over to the canvas. It has to go. Everything goes out on the timeline, right? And it can actually go on that same track as the arrow. Okay. Now, when it shows up, see by default, and once it's on the timeline, then you can move it around. Okay, so it shows up after the arrow disappears, after it fades. All right, and what we're going to do is we're going to resize this. I'm going to bring it down just a little bit. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. Okay. And if I right, or actually just double click on the image itself. All right, no, I don't want to right click. What I want to go to is, if I look at, and I just went to that, so I'm going to show you how to find it. Under more, there is a, get to more, I have something called visual properties. When I bring up the visual properties menu, you'll see that I'm already at this image is selected. It's at 79%. If I resize it, you'll see that it grows in size and percentage. I could scale it from the menu here. Okay, bring it down to around 70, 69%, 71. All right, stop there. And what I like about this is that you could change the opacity of the image to where you're going to have something be able to be shown through it. I can add a drop shadow to the image. It's kind of nice. I could change the direction of the drop shadow, its opacity as well. But I can also colorize this image. Now notice when I hit colorize, the color that was by default is this orange color. To keep with this theme, I need to choose like a bluish color, kind of a slate blue maybe. And if I do that, you see that kind of fits in better with the overall theme, maybe a little darker, of our initial theme that we chose with these animations. Okay. Now, all right, that kind of fits in a little bit better. You see how that looks. But there is another option as we move, and we'll play that. All right, that fits in quite nicely. There is another option found in the Visual Properties tab, which is called Add Animation. If I click Add Animation, all right, you'll see I get an animation point that's down here underneath the actual preview or the thumbnail of the graphic file. And I'm going to want this image, I'm going to say, all right, I want it to move down to the right or left corner. Okay, so now if I go back to where we were on the arrow and it disappears, and it just automatically knew where I wanted it to go because I clicked first the plus sign to add animation, and I moved the image down. Okay, now to get rid of the image, I'm going to add another animation by clicking the plus. I get the same character down there that shows I've added an animation to my image, and I'm just going to shrink it down to where it disappears all the way down. Now it's gone. Okay, and now my animation does this. All right, moves down to the corner, and then disappears. Alright, from here I want to add some, alright, you're going to add more text than what I'm showing you. I'm just putting in some headers. You're going to need to go into a little bit more details with either bulleted text or a little short sentence or two about the specific highlights of the chapter areas that you're talking about in the presentation. But in order to add text, it's under the callout area. Okay. In the callout area, well, let me get off of you have several options. All right, I'm not on anything. We have, and I can get to all of them and see. We have different shapes that you could add. And these are motion shapes. So if I had something I wanted to show with the circle, let me just add the circle. I kind of like that. And then when I hit play, it makes the circle. So if I was highlighting something there, I'm not going to add that circle to our, get rid of that guy. But let me go back to our callouts. All right. One of the callouts that is available for us is a text callout. And that's what I'm going to add. And I'm going to add it as soon as I'm going to position my playhead right at the end of when the graphic disappears. And I'm going to add some text. And it's added in at 5 seconds. Okay. And it remembered that the last thing I put in there was the instructional design in business industry. The roles of instructional designers. Now let's see what's on the arrow. Roles of instructional designers. Okay. I'm thinking. Yeah, from here. It tells us that there are 3 very broad categories, and that would be, I think that's what I listed as the title. So notice this text is white, and that's why it's not showing up here, but I'm going to say 3 broad categories. And I'm going to highlight this text so I can edit it. Oops, capital H. Highlight it. That should be plural. Highlight again. Choose black. Move this over. Move that text. I can make it just all one line. Let's see. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So after this image disappears, 3 broad categories should appear. Alright, notice that 3 broad categories. You know, I could change this font. It's set right now at Franklin Gothic. It's a medium font. I have other fonts that I could choose from. Freestyle script. I can make it de Garamond. Georgia. Okay. I kind of like the what I was on there earlier, the Franklin Gothic medium. And it's up to you what you want to select. I could make it bold. Okay, I could change the color. I might want to have it to go along with the theme, kind of a bluish color, but that's too light. Maybe a little darker. Okay, yeah, that fits better with the theme. Not necessarily, it's not black. It's not quite very deep blue. All right, so I want this text though just to fade in, and this is where we will use another feature, which is a transition. Okay, I'm going to select this text on the timeline. See, I've selected it so it darkens. We'll select transitions, and there I have a number, you know, maybe 20 different transitions, not more, that I could select from. One of the tried and trues is to fade in, and if I click fade, I can double click it, and it shows me what a fade does. And if I right click it, I can add it to selected media. And now you'll notice that between where the graphic is and the text, and at the very end, I see that there is an animation or some type of transition that's been added. So once we have the picture disappear, three broad categories fades in, okay? And then it will, at the end, fade out, okay? Now, I don't want it to fade out just yet. I'm going to want to keep that going for a little bit longer, so I'm going to extend it on the timeline, okay? And what I'm going to add are those three broad categories. And I used, from the library, a theme, a callout that I'm going to add to the timeline. All right, so we've got the three broad categories, and the categories are sole designer, team member leader, and external designer consultant. So I'm going to add this callout to the timeline, and you'll see what it did is it turned everything black, and that's because of the transition. All right, we're going to get rid of that transition, but first I'm going to position this. See, and it's kind of it's a nice call out. It's got a drop shadow behind it, and it's got places for two different text. Okay, one inside the blue circle and outside the circle as well. And I could make this a little bigger if I wanted to. Just going to position that. If this is what it looks like as it comes in. See, but what it did is it got rid of, and I don't like that about some of the animated features of these transitions. So I'm going to get rid of that that kind of a transition fade, or whatever it was doing where it was scrolling across. And all I got to do is highlight it to where it's yellow. I just clicked on it and hit delete. We'll do the same thing for it's going out. I can then add a transition, and I'll want it to fade. So that's what fade does. So I'm going to add that transition to. So now it won't just go to black. Okay, you'll see that it faded into itself there. So I need to add these texts because of the categories. I'm going to edit if I double click on the circle, and instead of ABC I want this to be 1, and I'm going to highlight it, and it's okay to be white, but I need it to be bigger. That looks better. And then I'm going to edit this text, and it should be sole designer, which is the first category. If I highlight that, make it a little bit bigger, maybe up to 20. Okay. Yep. And I can do that for each of the three categories and that's what I did with the other version. Let me hit save here so I don't lose anything. Okay. So now when I bring those in, you'll see. And in the timeline, you see how that nicely faded in, and it will also fade out. And from there, I could bring in that second category, or I could keep that other one showing and have that second category on another track. Okay, you would need to, you're layering these on tracks unless you want to. And what I could do, as I'm highlighting this, all right, that was that call out, and I'm going to copy it, and then I'm going to paste it onto the track beside it. Right, there it is. So now I've got, or let me move that to where they are back to back. So watch what happens. Goes in, fades in, sole designer, sole designer again, and now I could edit that. I could bring this one down. That's where it really needs to be, is below that first one. Let's see where the first one, yeah, it's about right. And now I need to change that to a 2. And change that to team member leader. Okay, and then I would do that a third time, but just see how nicely this fits in. So when this fades out, okay, and I did that a third time for the last one, which was the external designer consultant. All right. In roles, the next part of the chapter is on roles of other players. I in the intro, I showed I brought in another call out first, and I changed this. What I'm not, I am still going to change that again. I'm going to copy this text. I'm just going to shorten this here. I'm going to copy text 2, which is the what was that text? The 3 broad categories. Yeah. Right click on it, copy. I'm going to paste it over here to where I have text, and that goes into the next, which is the roles of other players. And I could edit that text over in the text editor. And remember, it had transitions already built in. So as it moves across, and we would have the third one, I just didn't add it. It fades in because we kept those transitions. All right. Actually, it didn't keep that one transition, so we need to add a fade in there because it just kind of appeared. For some reason, I must have hit delete. So when that fades out, that fades in. All right. And from here, I can bring in, and I'm going to bring in another call out. Actually, no, I'm going to get to the library and bring in this banner. Okay, and the banner, I'm going to add that to the timeline. This is what the banner looks like. Let me preview it. Kind of dissolves in, you know, or I don't think it can dissolve in. It dissolves away, but it kind of grows in, you know, kind of converges, you know, and it has some text that we can edit to. So I'm going to resize this banner to where it's just below. Okay, just below roles of other players, and I'm going to double click on the ABC so I have editable text. And I'm going to bring in a video clip in a moment, and so the video clip is going to be about subject matter experts. So I'm going to use this as subject matter experts. This is not exactly the order of our text, but this is how it looks now when this comes in. The roles of other players kind of appears in, breaks in, then dissolves away. And this is where we're going to get to the last part. And I'm going to go out now to YouTube and show you how I download clips. First, I'm going to take you, and I can't remember if we've used this in this class yet or not. This is free. Used to be Real Player, was very popular back in the day as a media player. It was well before QuickTime and the advent of Windows popularity. But what it allows you to do is here it says discover and play online, plus download, save, organize, and share videos. What Real Player does is if you download it and you have a compatible browser, you can save, and there are other ways to save. You guys probably know a ton of them to save files from YouTube. This is the way I do it. Okay, so let me get out to YouTube. I'm going to pause while I go to YouTube. Okay, and from YouTube, I'm going to do a search for subject matter expert. And this is where I found a video that I kind of liked, and I thought it would be a good inclusion on tips with working with a SME, and or I could how to deal with difficult subject matter experts. I'm going to click on that one. Let's add this one.
The topic of today's video: subject matter experts.
All right, so I've got it set as my preferences is I can download this video by right-clicking on it and download this video to Real Player, and I've set it to where it is going to download to the folder where I'm working currently with these Camtasia files. All right, and as that downloads, you'll see it's only about 11 megs, and it's going to take about 2 minutes. So actually, it's going to be less than that. I don't know why my internet connection is slow today, but I'm going to pause and I'll be right back when it's downloaded because we're going to have to work with it. Okay, so now when it's downloaded, I can see I have a little thumbnail and it's downloaded to this, well, it's downloaded to the folder where I had specified it to download to. But also with the Real Player, you get a converter. If I try to import, let me go back to Camtasia, and I want to import media. And I want to go to the clip bin, and I want to import media. And I'm going to look in the folder where I downloaded that to. It's in Module 6 of our school folder. I only see my cam recording. That's the first part of this presentation tutorial. I don't see, and I can't select all files. The FLV file that I just downloaded from YouTube is there, okay, and I can play it. If I click on it, pops up. But I can't import FLVs into Camtasia. Real Player allows us to convert, and I can convert it here within the Real Player downloader, or while I'm watching the video, when I pull Real Player back up, if I mouse over, you'll see a little convert option, and I'm going to convert this, and I'm going to allow it to stay in the same directory as the original, and I'm going to convert it to a WMV. I know that Camtasia will create or allow me to import into as a WMV file. There are some other options. Some of these are only available, like in the video formats. You'll see Real Video H.264 for iPods. MP4, if I tried to do that and I click OK and then I click Start, it's going to tell me I need to buy it. All right, and I don't want to buy it. But you get to convert it to WMV for free. So when I click OK, now that's WMV, and I click Start, it is starting the process of converting to a WMV. And you'll see the percentage. And this takes some time. Working with video, as you guys saw when you rendered your midterms, takes some time because these are pretty big sizes. This is only going to be about 18 meg, which is a little bigger than the file we downloaded. When the file we downloaded around 11 meg. So again, I'm looking at the time. We got a little time monitor here. It says about 3 minutes here. I'm going to pause my recording, and I will be right back when that's finished converting. And I'm back, and you'll see that I've completed, or the computer's completed the conversion process. Had the file converted, 1 of 1, and it's in the same directory. Now if I go back out, I can close this out, go back out to Camtasia, and I want to import that media, okay, from that directory, which was in folder Module 6. There it is. That's the WMV. We can see I can import that now. I'm going to bring it into the library by just double clicking, and it's down here with video. Okay. As soon I want this to play, I'm going to add this. As soon as this breaks up, I want this video to be behind it. Okay, so that means it needs to be on another track. I could keep it on the same track, track 5, but I'm just going to add it to track 6. I'm going to go ahead and add the timeline at playhead, and you'll see where it brought in, and you'll see that this video is about 4 minutes long. Well, it's actually less than that, but it plays until 4 minutes. And you'll see it filled up the entire screen. I'll make it smaller. I can resize that just a little bit to where it's going to be right underneath the title. And this is on dealing with difficult subject matter experts. Usually subject matter experts are people like professors. So hopefully when this, well, actually this needs to be below because that'll start playing and it'll just be on top. You'll notice I can move certain assets to certain tracks. I'm gonna do that. I want this. Let's move this up to this track, and I'm going to move the video track below. Okay, so now when that breaks up, she should be behind the yeah, behind that little banner. So let's see if that worked.
The topic of today's video, subject matter experts. What if they don't want to play?
All right, and that's all I really want. Okay, I'm not going to keep this entire video. So remember what we can do. I can cut some of this, or I can just start shortening this video. Make it easier if I zoom out. I just want to bring it down just to that one little section. Okay, and so what will happen now is
The topic of today's video, subject matter experts. What if they don't want to play? I'm going to try and make this very short.
that was perfect. That was very short. All right, so that got us started with using Camtasia only with a blank PowerPoint background to create a multimedia presentation. This is truly a multimedia instructional application. I mean, we are using content from the book, and you're going to be given content from chapters. You'll have a chapter assignment. We're bringing in music, we're bringing in video, we're bringing in animations, we're bringing in text, transitions, lots of stuff. So this is even more than you can do. And you can do a lot of this similarly in PowerPoint and Keynote. Prezi, yeah, you saw you could do it in Prezi. This is another way to do it, okay? So if I went through this again, if I hit play, see we'll get to the point where we move into our main slide here. Just a second. And I guess you don't really need to call them slides, all right? That first transition. And in all honesty, that was way too long to wait for this first, that role of instructional designers to show up. I would definitely shorten that. And some of these you're going to end up making either into bullets or small little text blurbs. Okay, and this is probably on there for too long as well. You're going to need to time this though. And remember, we only put in 2 categories. But then we have the transition.
The topic of today's video, subject matter experts. What if they don't want to play?
All right, so that's it. You're going to be doing a 10-minute Camtasia presentation this week. It's you're going to see a lot of similarities, but you're using a different tool, and you're making multiple tracks. So this is a multiple track project. Okay, 10 minutes, no longer. Okay, and you can keep that in mind by making sure your music and your background file is only 10 minutes long. All right, so I will be putting up the specifics for this project in D2L. I'll have listed out exactly what components you need to add. I mean, you obviously have to have a animated title slide. You'll incorporate a video clip or two. You'll have music in the background. No voiceovers this week. You will also, now, one of the things is if you have video, okay, remember what we need to do is this, if right here, when the video starts playing, all right, I may have wanted to go into this audio file, double click, actually I need to right click and edit audio, and at that point where that video starts, add an audio point that I could then lower that music. Okay, so as we get ready to listen to the video, see, it's Audio is decreasing. Video should start here.
Today's video, subject matter experts. What if they don't?
Yeah, so I wanted to adjust the audio, which is the background audio, to be able to hear the video audio better. And then I would want to increase it when it goes back. And so in order to increase it, we would take it down to another audio point. What those audio points allow us to do is just manipulate the areas between. You see that it went, you'll notice down here, that little line there, that's the audio points. And I could even make an audio point here. You can have multiple audio points to where you can then manipulate, and that brings it down. Then that stays straight across, and I could fade out, or from here fade that out. It already fades out, so I can actually bring it back up. Okay, so you'll play around with it. All right, enjoy. I look forward to seeing these projects just as much as I have enjoyed seeing your Prezis and your initial Camtasia work. All right, bye.